Welcome to the Dev Report, your source for in-depth analysis of global events. Today, we delve into a significant geopolitical controversy that has captured international attention. Pakistan's defense minister, Khawaja Asif, recently claimed that Pakistan shot down 5 Indian fighter jets. However, these assertions have been met with skepticism due to a lack of concrete evidence. Let's unpack the details.
What happened in Pahalgam, this terrorist attack in Indian-occupied Kashmir, that there should be an international investigation, and some, agreed upon delegation or investigators can come and examine who's responsible for what happened in Kashmir, Indian-occupied Kashmir.
India has not agreed to that. It says it isn't necessary. It accuses terrorist organizations in Pakistan and supported by the government. It accuses those of being behind the attack. I want to talk very specifically about what's happened, sir. This attack happened shortly after midnight. India says it did not attack military sites. It says it struck 9 sites in total, all, quote, terrorist infrastructure, quote, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. So walk us through what was targeted and where.
I'll again make the same offer for what happened in Pakistan yesterday. The Indian attacks took place, perhaps 6 or 7 sites were attacked by Indians. We'll invite, or I think it is already underway, that international media has visited all these sites. And they can be interviewed, or they can report to their respective channels whether these sites were being used by terrorists, or these sites were ever used by the terrorists. So there's again a very open offer to the Indians or international community to examine and inspect the sites which were attacked.
Let me put this to you. India is explicit about these being sites that were used by terrorists. This is terrorist infrastructure. Do you have any evidence to suggest that that is not true? You're the defense minister, sir. So with respect, let's be very specific. India has said, hold on. India has said it struck 9 sites. These were not Pakistan military sites. These were terrorist infrastructure.
They're absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. There's absolutely no evidence. India would just want to justify whatever they have done last night, and they were taught a very befitting lesson that they lost 5 planes. 3 of them were Rafale and a MiG and a Jaguar. So they came in to target supposedly terrorist camps or training grounds or training camps.
But you're telling me that you don't know whether these sites were terrorist training sites?
No. There's absolutely no terrorist activities. It's just the imagination, the figment of imagination of India. They just want to justify it. Whatever they are doing, they're trying to find a justification for that. Absolutely, there's no...
You've just brought up the fact that India lost some fighter jets. So let's be quite clear about this. Pakistan claims it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets and a drone, as I understand it. India says there's no evidence of that, no proof. So can you provide more detail? Hold on. Can you provide more detail? And is this the response that your army spokesman threatened, or is there further action to come? Let's start with this very specific allegation of 5 fighter jets shot down. Where's the evidence for that, sir?
It's all over the social media, on Indian social media, not on our social media. The debris of these jets fell into Indian occupied Kashmir, and it's all over Indian media today.
You're the defense
and they
minister.
have admitted their media has.
The reason to talk to you today, sir, is not to talk about content all over social media. I'm sorry. It's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm asking you very specifically for the evidence, for the detail. For example, was any Chinese equipment used by Pakistan to down these Rafale jets, as I understand you are alleging them to be?
There no Chinese equipment. We have Chinese planes, JF-17 and JF-10. They are Chinese planes, but they are being manufactured, assembled in Pakistan now. We have very close to Islamabad, we have a facility over there where these planes are manufactured. And if India can buy planes from France and use them, we can also buy planes from China or Russia or United States or UK and use them. And let me say one thing. They have already admitted that the 3 planes were down.
Can I just repeat the question that I asked? I wasn't asking whether Chinese fighter jets were used. I'm just, was any Chinese equipment used by Pakistan to down these jets that you suggest were targeted?
Well, these planes were down with a dogfight. Missiles were fired by our planes and they were shot down. Very simple. What sort of equipment you were referring to?
I'm just asking you, was any Chinese equipment used in these dogfights?
Yes, the missiles were fired by our planes, and we downed them. I think it was JF-17 or JF-10. Was involved in this combat.
I have to ask you, how concerned are you at this point? I mean, is further conflict on the horizon? Are you concerned about a direct conflict, a war at this point?
Yeah, there is a possibility of this conflict, expansion of this conflict into a full-fledged war, which we are trying to avoid. But last night, they crossed the international boundary. We have working boundary, international boundary, and control line. So the other two are, they involve disputed territories. But crossing the international boundary, this is the clear-cut violation and invitation to expand the conflict, and maybe convert it into something much more wider and much more dangerous for the region.
Defense Minister, the US President has called this escalation a shame. I wonder, how much support you believe you will get from the US if this escalates. And when asked in a recent interview to admit that Pakistan has a long history of backing, supporting, funding and training terrorist organizations, which India accuses you of time and time again, your response was this, quote, "We have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades, and the West, including Britain. That was a mistake," you said, "and we have suffered." Implied in that answer, it seems you are admitting that Pakistan has a long history of funding, training, supporting and backing terrorist organizations. Is that correct?
Let me ask you a question, who brought Osama bin Laden to Pakistan?
Sir, I'm interviewing you. That's an important question. India has
That's a very important question.
you. No, sir. India has accused
My
you
whole
of funding terrorism.
that answer to that question.
What did you mean when you said that was a mistake?
It was a mistake that we stood with United States of America in a war which was not our war, which was a war between Soviet Union and USA, between two superpowers. We had nothing to do with that. That was going on in Afghanistan. It was a mistake that we joined that war. And later on, after 9/11, again, the war was being fought in Afghanistan. We were just neighbors, but we
funding, supporting, and training terrorists.
We cooperated with US. And I'll give you just a very recent example. 2-3 months back, there was a bounty on Sirajuddin Haqqani. And he's a free man now. The bounty has been removed. So who is responsible for labeling people as terrorists and not labeling people as terrorists? Or taking off the label of terrorists? Who's responsible for that?
What happens next?
Huh?
What happens next?
What happens then?
What happens next? Fine.
What happens next? What happens next is we are prepared for an all-out war also. This is absolutely no doubt, because India is increasing the intensity, increasing the the stakes in this conflict. So we should be prepared for an all-out war. Otherwise, we cannot be caught with our guards down.
Defence Minister, it's good to have you. Thank you for the time today here.